a data 5 de maio e ontem a Prefeitura de Salvador prorrogou um decreto até a data 18 com medidas restritivas para que a pandemia seja solucionada, que os casos da pandemia sejam solucionados e os nossos sistemas de saúde não entrem em colapso.
Allora, abbiamo appena avuto una riunione qui al Comitato Operativo della Protezione Civile, confermiamo la situazione è sotto controllo, terremo sotto controllo i 2 casi che abbiamo già accertato.
Noi abbiamo fatto una misura che è cautelativa, abbiamo sin dall'inizio alzato la soglia di salvaguardia e di controllo, siamo in questo momento l'unico paese europeo che ha interrotto i voli con la Cina.
This is really depressing. I didn't know it will be so empty. Not even a single soul. In all 4 directions. Nobody.
Das Virus, um das es geht, ist neuartig. Es gibt kein Medikament und es gibt keinen Impfstoff.
Saranno quindi da evitare su tutto il territorio della penisola gli spostamenti a meno che non siano motivati da 3 specifiche circostanze. I numeri ci dicono che stiamo avendo una crescita importante dei contagi, le persone ricoverate in terapia intensiva e subintensiva e anche, ahimè, delle persone decedute.
Le gouvernement a pris, comme je vous l'avais annoncé, des dispositions fermes pour freiner la propagation. Les crèches, les écoles, les collèges, les lycées, les universités sont fermés depuis ce jour.
El 9 de marzo, 2 días después, el director general de este organismo, el doctor Tedros, avaló públicamente a España como ejemplo de enfoque gubernamental en la lucha contra el Covid-19.
30 seconds.
President Donald Trump has no higher priority than the safety
and health of the American people. The President has directed our task force, employing the full resources of the federal government in full partnership with state and local health authorities to make that priority a reality.
From the beginning of time, nations and people have faced unforeseen challenges, including large-scale and very dangerous health threats. At the very start of the outbreak, we instituted sweeping travel restrictions on China and put in place the first federally mandated quarantine in over 50 years.
各位亲友们，各位长辈们，我是金慧，我目前还在武汉汉口这个疫区。我向大家汇报一下，目前我们整个湖北甚至全国的疫情情况。现在已经有9万多人次，这个病毒的传染几率是多少呢？ 就是一个人传染之后，如果说他没有被有效的隔离的话，或者说进行有效的治疗的话，他会传染给他身边的14个人，那么这个基数就很大了。我现在向大家介绍一下我们整个湖北省医疗物资情况。现在武汉市整个医疗系统。 及湖北省的整个医疗系统都已经越过了我们的上级、卫计委及各个行政部门、市政府、省政府，透过各大媒体在向社会发起物资募捐。这个物资特别精确，我们现在的医护人员。 凡是从临床下来的，现在全部都又重新上了一线。我也知道，有些亲戚不在群里面，请看到我这消息的人，相互打电话，相互通知，一定要做到。我希望大家能够提高认识，这是一个政治任务。 而且报告大家一个很不好的一个消息，这个新型冠状病毒已经发生第2代变异了。也就是说，在第1代变异的时候，我们可以对症治疗；那么在发生第2代变异的时候，这是要命的。
पहले से दलित तो नहीं बोलते हैं देखते हैं क्या देने भाई की पैसा नहीं हाँ हाँ पैसा नहीं ले रहे भाई तो ये यहाँ पे आपके साथ रहते हैं आपके साथ रहते की माँ नहीं माँ कल क्या हुआ खत्म हो गया बच्चों के नाम क्या क्या है उठो और बसों की व्यवस्था हो रही है जल्दी ही आपके लिए बसें आ जाएंगी और खाने की व्यवस्था हो ड्राइवर साइड से बैठवा दो लेडीज सवारी को चलो बटन दब जाए हाथ पड़ जाए क्या होगा गाड़ी स्टार्ट करने बाद जाएगी
हम सवाई बात लाइन में बैठा के और हमने यहाँ से बैठा रहा हमने तुम्हारा
Fratelli e sorelle, no scusate, io sto celebrando la messa, non rispondo, il sindaco risponde dopo la messa. No, durante la messa io non allora dico che io adesso non sono disponibile perché sto cercando.
Renggang. Terus juga di Indonesia ini kan mayoritas beragama Muslim dan setiap 5 waktu mereka berbondong-bondong ke masjid untuk sholat. Cuman setelah ada pandemik ini dan ada anjuran untuk melaksanakan ibadah di rumah, jadi tempat-tempat ibadah khususnya itu jadi sepi. Keadaan di kota saya setelah ada corona itu jadi agak lenggang, sepi. Terutama untuk pedagang-pedagang juga banyak yang tutup, warung-warung, toko-toko juga banyak yang tutup, dan masyarakatnya juga lebih banyak yang berada di rumah.
What tax measures, if any, has he announced to support businesses affected by Covid-19?
Mr. Speaker, in addition to the wage subsidy announcements today, the Minister of Finance and I announced a number of tax measures that will help support businesses who are affected by COVID-19. These measures are reinstating building depreciation for new and existing industrial and commercial buildings, and this includes hotels and motels, immediate deductions for low-value assets, increasing provisional tax threshold from $2,500 to $5,000, writing off interest on late payments for tax for those who could not pay their tax because of COVID-19, and information sharing agreements with other agencies so they can help administer COVID-19 entitlements. These are tangible signs of action, and we are leading by example in our response to this global issue.
Italia cometió muchos errores cuando empezó su cuarentena, cuando empezaron a cancelar las clases. Ellos lo tomaron muy a la ligera, pero creo que tuvimos un gran ejemplo de Italia al no querer o no pensar en hacer lo mismo que ellos hicieron.
En la capital, en el monumento Campeador, hay 3 avenidas importantes. Acá está la gente haciendo cola afuera en el banco para sacar plata. Parque Rivadavia, cerrada, paseando, las locales para reciclar también están cerrados,
Parkway near the Verrazano Bridge. Verrazano goes to Staten Island.
The panic spread among the people, and socially it was such a difficult time that people took it as a stigma. So socially people started talking about it.
A la sociedad española, el máximo pesar y afecto a los familiares y a los amigos de las personas fallecidas por la pandemia del coronavirus.
In my country, the first that we're talking, for example, the educational center closes, the event of more than 1,000 people in the most affected communities such as Madrid or the País Vasco were banned. Borders will close, and international and national travel parties such as Easter or Las Fallas in Valencia were also suspended.
The impacts of finances and the impacts of psychological things are still going on. Now this is the 3rd wave, and the government is actually intending to impose lockdown once again. So 70% and 80% people, they are thinking that what will they do? From where will they get their finances? From where will they get money to arrange food and each and everything? Because our government, our state is not that much serious to provide food and everything to the people.
Wir alle sind uns des Ernstes der Situation bewusst. Das Coronavirus breitet sich weiter mit besorgniserregender Geschwindigkeit in unserem Land aus. Wir haben heute darüber gesprochen, wie unsere Gegenmittel greifen. Und an Gegenmitteln haben wir eben noch keinen Impfstoff und keine Medikamente. Und wir hatten vereinbart, dass wir an diesem Wochenende eine Zwischenbilanz ziehen werden. Heute am Sonntag stellen wir überall in Deutschland fest, unsere Städte, unser Verkehr, unser wirtschaftliches und privates Leben sehen vollkommen anders aus als noch vor einer Woche. Die überwältigende Mehrheit der Menschen hat verstanden, dass es jetzt auf jeden und jede ankommt. Dass jeder und jede seinen und ihren Teil dazu beitragen kann, aber auch muss, das Virus aufzuhalten. In diesem Sinne haben sich die Bundesregierung und die Bundesländer heute verständigt, die Leitlinien für das Verhalten und für die Bewegungsfreiheit und Mobilität, an die sich alle zu halten haben, noch einmal zu erweitern. So reduzieren wir weiter konsequent öffentliches Leben und die sozialen Kontakte und wir sorgen dafür, dass in ganz Deutschland im Grundsatz die gleichen Regeln gelten. Viele Bürger haben uns ja deutlich wissen lassen, dass sie sich diese Klarheit auch im föderalen Staat wünschen.
Here the virus started to spread around the end of March. The first thing that changed here, of course, were like schools. So compared to Italy, there like school closed like halfway through March, like even earlier. Here was like towards the end. So yeah, so here the major things that changed for me were like the schools, because everything was closed. We weren't allowed to go outside, but it was like uncommon. You had to use common sense. So our prime minister decided to do not say that you have to use a mask. You weren't forced to use a mask, but with like common sense, or don't go to places where there are a lot of people together. So like no buses, like you were allowed to go on a bus, but you shouldn't have to because it's crowded. At the beginning, my reaction was I was quite shocked because like I couldn't see what was going on. Like I couldn't see the virus, so I didn't believe it at first. But like with my parents, we decided to use a mask all the time. So everywhere we go, we have a mask. We try to stay as far as we can from people. So that was like one of the things we decided to do since the beginning. During my quarantine time, I tend to stay home. I try to go and walk sometimes, but I have to be careful because there are people, dogs and stuff like that. Like honestly, here people tend to follow the rules.
La plaza está vacía, no se puede estar en espacios públicos. El sistema de bicicleta gratuito está prohibido y está cerrado para que no se usen las bicicletas.
I have seen my roommate, sickly and mentally tired, come home and go straight to the shower and rub with bleach. I have heard cry of helplessness and rape and the chaos in the hospital. I have comfort her and try to support her so that the emotional state was less.
En el año 2008, aquí en México vivimos algo similar, no tan fuerte, pero fue algo que a mí me marcó. Yo tenía más o menos 8 años, estaba en la primaria, en tercero de primaria. Hubo una enfermedad que se llamaba H1N1, que era la influenza porcina. Era muy peligrosa. Recuerdo que yo estuve más o menos 2 meses sin ir a la escuela y bueno, no fue un paro total en las actividades de nuestro país como ahora se está viviendo. El gobierno estuvo más o menos 2 o 3 semanas diciéndonos que no nos preocupáramos, que esto se iba a controlar, que no tuviéramos miedo, que no entráramos en pánico, cuando realmente creo que pudieron haber hecho mejores cosas, tomar la situación en serio desde el principio.
The government every week through the media gives us part of the situation in the country, level of infection, death, etc. A group expert in epidemiology and their security force and our president gave us guidelines to follow and decree new regulation for the speed of infection and in decreasing the death.
La verdad fue algo muy tonto que hizo mi presidente. pienso que no le tomó la seriedad que debió de haber tenido. Él nos seguía diciendo que podíamos salir, que no nos preocupáramos, que no pasaba nada, que este virus se iba a ir, que era una gripa, que no era nada importante, cuando realmente no lo era.
There were many different opinions. People who thought that it was just a simple flu and that it was normal for people to die. Co-worker, friends, etc. And others who understood the seriousness of the matter. COVID-19 was a much more deadly and an unknown virus on the planet.
Muchas personas piensen que esto no es en serio, que el coronavirus no existe. Claro que existe. En mi ciudad han habido ya varios casos de coronavirus, más en mi estado. En mi estado han habido más o menos 200 casos y ha muerto mucha gente.
She has seen many people die in her arms alone, with no family close by, crying over the impotence of not having enough sanitary material to save them. I have disinfected my house, they know, with an awesome machine that a friend lent me to try not to infect me and my daughter.
Si es que te gusta. Puede ser, puede ser. ¿Qué está haciendo? Está haciendo un video. Entonces más o menos sería esa la idea. Se nos salta el punto tanto hasta la pierna. Mira lo que está ahí, Jau.
Nuestra realidad es nuestra realidad. Voy a hacer cortes igual de todo esto.
Chao.
I don't know if I can do that actually. I'm just here, with nobody. Well, what can they do? Toss me out? Anyways, if you wonder, many people lost their jobs because of the coronavirus, because some companies closed, nobody's working, so everything is tough. But it's actually not that bad. Pollution is less, life is calmer. Right now we're heading to the town square, the usual place where it's crowded with tourists, and filming where right now the old town. As you can see, everything is closed. This is funny, this atvērts actually means in Latvian open, but they're not.
flu.
How many respiratory ventilators are available across the health system? And is he satisfied that New Zealand's health system is prepared for an outbreak of COVID-19?
Mr. Speaker, internationally, COVID-19 outbreaks are testing the capacity of even the most prepared health systems. That's why we are putting such a strong focus on stamping out the spread of cases we've seen in New Zealand to flatten and suppress the curve and reduce pressure on our health service.
What support is this government providing for people most in need in light of the impacts of COVID-19?
Alongside initiatives that strengthen business continuity, the government's economic response package has 3 key initiatives that support people at most need during this time.
Yeah, this morning I was at Auckland International Airport, our country's largest passenger port, to ensure our strict border measures are being enforced. There are measures in place. Passengers are being questioned. They're being stopped and required to hand over detailed information.
And now, move back to question 9. Is there any objection?
Question to the Minister of Education. Is he confident that the government is taking all necessary measures in our education system to reduce the impact of COVID-19 and keep people safe?
Mr. Speaker, yes, as I've said to the member and said publicly, it is a rapidly evolving situation and advice is being updated and changing. Health officials and education officials are working very closely together to keep people safe.
I want food. What is happening there? Gathering gifts. They look really hungry. Jesus Christ. They're aggressive. Attack. Interesting. They're really hungry. Wow.
In questo periodo ero in partenza per una esperienza lavorativa all'estero in Germania. Proprio al momento della mia partenza decisero di stopparmi qui a casa. Fin dall'inizio della quarantena ho trasformato il mio salone in una sala di danza e ho cercato inizialmente di appoggiarmi a qualche insegnante che conducesse lezioni online, però poi grazie a un'iniziativa bellissima di Roberto Bolle abbiamo avuto la possibilità di studiare con maestri da tutto il mondo per quanto riguarda la sfera sociale. È stato credo un po' difficile per tutti noi, però io finché ho la danza non mi abbatto, non mi scoraggio mai, quindi ho capito che posso vivere veramente solo di quello.
Siamo stati trascinati in un ambiente surreale perché era pesante sentire le ambulanze nelle strade deserte a qualsiasi ora della giornata o della notte. È stato pesante sentire dire dai tuoi amici che un loro parente moriva. È stato pesante vedere i camion dei militari a Bergamo per portare via i defunti, dato che non c'erano più tombe disponibili al cimitero.
Familiares que no han podido ir a un tanatorio o a un entierro en compañía. Esta enfermedad, señorías, además de silenciosa, es cruel porque nos castiga la cualidad que más nos hace humanos, y es nuestra necesidad de vivir juntos, pensar juntos y actuar juntos, en comunidad.
In der Pandemie und mit dem Virus leben wir immer noch und das wird auch für längere Zeit so bleiben. Denn die grundlegenden Fakten haben sich ja nicht geändert. Auch wenn einzelne Forschungsansätze Hoffnung machen, noch gibt es keine Medikamente und keinen Impfstoff gegen das Virus.
And we are busy preparing for a busy winter as the global Covid-19 pandemic sweeps across the globe. Vaccinations reduce incidence of the flu and they protect our most vulnerable, who are the people most likely to get sick and consequently be hospitalised with the flu. Flu vaccinations will improve our health system's ability to cope with the expected higher demands at hospitals from COVID-19.
Impact of war or the impact of militancy, what impact it had on the militancy. In my point of view, that in some cases occurred in the first wave in the tribal area, in the border area to Afghanistan, particularly in Datakhel, and some cases occurred in Balochistan. But as a whole, I can see that the militancy subsided during the COVID-19. Every other thing was negative. It impacted badly, but to an extent in Pakistan, we can see that COVID-19 affected militancy in a positive way, because we see that there is an ample decrease in the militant activities.
So hello, this is the 15th of May and finally liberty is upon us. The state of emergency is finally lifted and now we're just in a state of alert, which means that we can finally go outside our homes without declarations, declaring our interests while going out. And so I can finally run freely around the town. And the only measure that I've been taking now, or the most important measures, are that you have to wear a mask.
We also stand in solidarity with the thousands of Americans who are ill and waging a brave fight against the virus. We're doing everything in our power to heal the sick and to gradually reopen our nation and to safely get our people back to work. They want to get back to work, and they want to get back to work soon. There's a hunger for getting our country back, and it's happening faster than people would think.
Ovviamente la situazione emergenziale qui a New York e negli Stati Uniti in generale è scoppiata con un certo ritardo.
Per quanto riguarda l'effetto che la pandemia ha avuto nelle nostre vite, entrambi siamo stati licenziati dal posto di lavoro, quindi sì, abbiamo perso il lavoro e all'inizio c'è stata molta paura perché non sapevamo, ovviamente come nessuno, a che cosa stavamo andando incontro e trovandosi così lontani da casa non sapevamo quale opzione avremmo potuto avere. Quindi è stata una cascata di decisioni sul futuro, decisioni importanti che ci si è ritrovati a dover considerare all'improvviso. Tutto questo nella paura reale di perdere anche dei familiari, magari non poterli più rivedere.
Negli Stati Uniti il governatore, perlomeno di New York, ha stabilito, mi pare al metà marzo, forse poco più avanti, sì, che tutti i non essential workers dovessero rimanere a casa. Quindi ovviamente tutti i barbieri, parrucchieri, negozi sono rimasti chiusi, invece ristoranti e bar sono rimasti aperti solo per delivery e take out. Quindi c'è stato proprio un cambiamento radicale per una città come New York, ma del resto come per tutte le città del mondo. Molti amici dall'Italia mi raccontavano di vedere una New York desolata, deserta.
quarantine now for 2 months since March, and the biggest way I've been affected by this is just having to move out of my college dorm back in March, which was really sad, but nothing as tragic, you know, compared to what people are going. My quarantine life has been very repetitive and boring, but I'm really grateful that I have a home and family, a safe place that I can quarantine at. In Illinois, they extended the quarantine till June 1st or May 30th. Since I finished school, I don't have much to do during the day, but I still do some things, you know, like spending time with my family. And since I live with my grandma, I've been taking this very, very seriously. I don't leave my house really at all, and if I do, it's for very like things, you know, like going to the grocery store with my dad, but like even then I don't go, or to pick up coffee from Dunkin' Donuts every once in a while, but I wear my mask.
Most of the people, they just spend their time sitting on the couch and watching movies and / video on demand. For me, actually, it was something different. I had two choices, and one of those was how I gonna end up on this pandemic. I gonna end up lazy and fat and you know, like body destroyed, just being lazy on the home, or I will change my body shape. And what I did, I was actually spending a lot of time in my body.
Chiudersi in casa da un giorno all'altro, non vedere più nessuno, sentire le persone solamente online tramite messaggio, mi ha fatto crollare, non allenandomi anche, mi ha fatto crollare, mi ha fatto cadere in questo tunnel, ecco, che mi ha portato a 8 mesi di sofferenza, in cui non mangiavo, non riuscivo a dormire, non mi allenavo e non uscivo, e tutto ciò ha influenzato, diciamo, il mio percorso. Mentre per quanto riguarda il business da fitness model, è peggiorato per il semplice fatto che io non potevo più viaggiare, quindi non si potevano più prendere aerei per andare in giro per il mondo, e soprattutto non avevo più il fisico, avevo perso fino a 30 kg.
En mi vida cotidiana, pues claro, a mí me ha afectado en que no he podido ir a la escuela, no puedo salir con mis amigos, todo está cerrado, más que las farmacias, los centros comerciales también están cerrados, solamente están abiertos los supermarkets y cosas esenciales. El gobierno ha reaccionado bien a esta pandemia, pero creo que reaccionó un poco tarde, ya que cuando empezaron los primeros casos de coronavirus, la primera secretaría en reaccionar fue la Secretaría de Educación Pública. Ellos fueron los que quisieron suspender todas las clases a nivel república.
对，是的。我想一下，台湾的可以做吗？
反正只要是这边住在这边的都，
那就可以，
好像没有限制这个男的。
可以，那就可以。
这个要问一下那个医生啊。好。是你老婆是台湾人是吧？
对。
好的，那个好，15827。
In 2003, the SARS came out in China, and that was quite a big deal. It came from Guangdong province, but in the end, the situation in Beijing was very severe. The virus started spreading on January the 20th, which is 5 days before the Chinese New Year. Because on January the 23rd, Wuhan got locked down, and just a few days later, the whole country got locked down. Usually you can see crowds everywhere, but this time it's quite impressive actually. It just basically I can't see nobody on the streets when I go out, and no cars.
Because many people are here, they don't respect the rules of the coronavirus. So we are here, we want to know that, how people get this virus, like how they see the virus, Okay, so many people have many difficulty in this virus. So what I try to say to the people that, many people have lost their life in this coronavirus. So let's see that this coronavirus is a real thing. Yeah, it's a real sickness that takes people's life every day and night, And the sickness don't look that, These guys and children or old or young. Everyone should care about your life in this coronavirus.
And Vietnam is one of the most effective country in preventing this disease. You can see many people in this country are safe. That's it, thanks to the government and thanks to everyone in the country. They have their awareness in this disease. At the first time when they hear that disease is really serious.
Se dá ao fato de termos um problema de desigualdade social, no qual pessoas autônomas ou empregados informais em geral se colocam no papel de ir à rua trabalhar, além de outras diversas situações na quais as pessoas infelizmente não respeitam o isolamento social sem uma justificativa, por assim dizer, plausível.
É isso. Mas não entendam mal, essas pessoas têm o seu... É uma situação muito complicada para todos. E é notório que algumas pessoas não conseguem tirar o seu sustento básico sem ir às ruas. Não são todos que têm a possibilidade de simplesmente ficar em casa e deixar de alimentar as suas famílias. Então, inclusive devido a isso, uma medida muito interessante feita pelo governo federal, há mais ou menos a metade da pandemia, no começo do mês passado, eles proporam prestar um auxílio emergencial para todos aqueles que comprovassem que são autônomos, desempregados, estão em trabalhos que não carregam a assinatura na carteira de trabalho. Eles recebem um valor de R$600, o dobro para mães solteiras, e isso é o que está deixando muito mais suportável, apesar de ser muito pouco dinheiro, está fazendo a colocar comida na mesa de muitas famílias.
So this is one of the most famous places in Riga, the Blackhead houses. It's really famous amongst Germans because they're really proud of this building because they built it. So each year tons of tourists hang out here. There's usually a guy playing guitar or singing. And yeah, today it's empty. Everything is empty. We found it. The only human in this town. Here he is.
Latvia, a pretty small nation. We're around 2 million people in the whole country.
To check today in Latvia, it's 909 open cases, confirmed cases, and only 18 deaths. It's a pretty small number, but we're also a small nation, so.
This country is under lockdown for 2 months, and just yesterday
country decided that we will prolong the emergency situation for 1 month too.
Hey guys, hi, my name's Ariana. I am currently living in Vancouver, Canada. The situation here for COVID is decent. We are flattening the curve because people are taking precautions and they are making a difference. So it is working. And I hope the rest of the world is doing okay. I really do. All we can do is just understand our emotions and really work on ourselves during this time. And
5 waktu mereka berbondong-bondong ke masjid untuk sholat. Cuman setelah ada pandemi ini dan ada anjuran untuk melaksanakan ibadah
beautiful.
Did you expect something different from the photos?
What are you doing?
I'm going to buy tobacco. There's no one else around.
I'm writing your poem.
You like to be shrouded in mystery, don't you?
I am an artist.
Are you trying to arouse my curiosity?
I hope we get the chance to meet when all this is over.
I feel like I've known you forever.
I feel I can smell your perfume.
I still remember my birthday, 2016-2020, and I was actually alone. All my family and parents and friends, even though they were nearby me, they were close to me, I only met them on Zoom, our new reality. I didn't have anybody nearby me and close to me at the time. And that was hard. That was something different that you're not used to live and used to feel. But that was our new reality.
La mulțea. Bravo!
All shops are closed, except for the pharmacy and supermarkets. Because of this, it is problematic to buy anything, because you need to order via the internet, and what you need does not always come. Studying has become remote, and as a student, I can tell you this greatly influenced the quality of education for the worse. After all, sitting at home, you usually do other things. However, all measures to reduce the spread of the virus may not suit people, but we are all well aware that this is all for the benefit of our health.
Bairro de Brotas, que faz fronteira com o Engenho Velho, uma das áreas mais populosas da cidade de Salvador. Fizemos então imagens destes bairros, assim como os bairros do Rio Vermelho, Barra, Campo Grande, Avenida 7 e Santo Antônio Além do Carro.
Estamos em distanciamento social desde o dia 17 de março. Hoje é dia 5 de maio, então temos aí 45 dias já afastados das nossas atividades. Nossa cidade aqui tem bairros como o que eu moro, que as pessoas respeitam, né? Então a ida ao mercado é com máscara, há um distanciamento das pessoas, número limitado de pessoas dentro do mercado, mas também nós temos bairros onde as pessoas não estão respeitando em nada. Então se aglomeram na rua para fazer churrasco, jogar baralho, jogar dominó. E essa tem sido uma preocupação. que são as pessoas de menor nível social, que têm menos condições, menos acesso à saúde e também à informação. E é uma preocupação grande aí para o final desse mês aí a gente ter um aumento significativo, principalmente no número de mortes, que eu acho que é o que mais preocupa todo mundo.
Ở đây thì chúng ta thấy là không phải chúng ta cũng biết được, chúng ta biết là TV màu. Thì trong TV màu thì chúng ta còn có 7 khối. Âm thanh thì được phát ra loa và hình ảnh thì sẽ
Anak sekolah itu sebelum ada pandemi, mereka tiap pagi berangkat sekolah, cuman setelah ada pandemi ini ada kebijakan untuk belajar di rumah seperti itu. Jadi dampaknya sangat banyak sekali, hampir seluruh lapisan masyarakat itu terkena dampak.
Eu trabalho em 4 empresas, né? 3 delas são particulares, de ensino privado, e uma delas é de ensino voluntário.
Eu tô tendo aula online, que eu não gosto, que é muito desorganizado.
Nós não estávamos tão preparados assim. A gente não pensou que fosse chegar tão rápido. E desde então a gente tem dado aula remotamente.
Primeiro que a aula online não era para mandar tarefa de casa em caderno, que a gente tem que olhar o dever no computador, no celular. Aí tem que ir arquivos e essas coisas aí.
Eu trabalho todos os dias da semana, eu dou aula todos os dias da semana, dessa maneira remota, e na parte da tarde e da noite é o momento que eu tenho para produzir esses materiais. Porque, apesar dos alunos terem um material didático, eles precisam ter aquele material visual, que geralmente a gente expõe durante as aulas ou anota no quadro, e a gente precisa agora, nesse momento, construir tudo isso.
E você acha que todas as escolas de Salvador estão seguindo esse mesmo ritmo que a sua? Você acha que todo mundo está tendo as aulas, entre aspas, normalmente?
Não.
Por que você acha isso?
Porque uma vez meu pai me disse que alguns colégios não estão tendo aula online. Tipo colégio público.
Os colégios públicos, então, não funcionam como o seu, né?
Não. É o que meu pai disse.
Infelizmente.
Sim.
Porque criança deveria estar tudo estudando, né? E você tem matéria de língua estrangeira?
Y una vez más, quiero que mis primeras palabras en esta sala sean en memoria de todas las personas fallecidas y para trasladar todo nuestro afecto y apoyo a sus familiares y seres queridos. Como saben, desde ayer está en vigor el luto nacional de 10 días, decretado por el Gobierno, el más prolongado de nuestra historia democrática, por las víctimas del Covid-19. Quiero expresar toda la gratitud y el reconocimiento del Gobierno hacia todos los profesionales de todos los servicios y sectores que han contribuido y contribuyen a abordar esta crisis sanitaria sin precedentes.
Y en estos momentos yo quiero recordar a un muerto que no es español, que es el doctor Bin Liang, que es la primera víctima no solamente del coronavirus, sino del Partido Comunista Chino.
COVID-19 actually, as a journalist, it impacted my life very much. Last Ramadan, this month, I contracted the virus because I was very much active in making stories. I visited hospital, I visited graveyard, I visited markets to cover stories. I got 2 awards on the COVID-19 stories. Particularly in Pakistan, the role of the media or the newspaper in particular, especially the newspaper coverage, it decreased. So my newspaper also, it cut short on some pages which impacted me financially a lot. When we sent stories, so I used to make 20 to 25 stories in a month, and I got good handsome money for that. But after the COVID-19, when my newspaper cut short some of its pages, so now in COVID only 10 to 15 stories they are being published, and I get a little money. About vaccination, the role of the Pakistani government was not that good. Thanks to some countries, particularly China, that it gifted vaccine to Pakistan. Initially, Pakistani government started to get vaccinated the healthcare workers, and in the first phase when it did so, then it started another registration for the 60 plus people. And now the 60 plus vaccination is underway, and the registration for 50 plus is also underway. And recently, the registration for 40 plus people is underway. The vaccination has not been started.
I'm really optimistic and hoping that this will all get better, and I'm just really hoping that it does so I can go back to school in the fall because I go to a university.
Voglio farvi vedere una realtà di Brighton che sono, si parla sempre di cervelli in fuga, invece questi qua sono un gruppo di ragazzi che sono venuti su e lavorano in una pizzeria, sono 3 pizzerie piccole, in una piccola catena. Il padrone, il manager è un inglese, un ragazzo giovane molto dinamico, e ha tutto uno staff italiano. Questi, quando c'è stato il lockdown, mentre tanti altri ristoratori o negozi qua in giro si sono trovati spaesati, non sapevano bene come funzionava la chiusura, eccetera eccetera, anche come tutela dei dipendenti stessi, il loro padrone ha fatto un lavoro preventivo, probabilmente anche perché è stato aiutato da tutto lo staff italiano, l'hanno sensibilizzato, hanno chiuso, e addirittura lui aveva proposto subito di pagargli 2 mesi di stipendio, tasca sua, ai dipendenti. Poi logicamente dopo ci sono state, come è successo in Italia, una specie di cassa integrazione, però qua è arrivata subito un busta paga. E allora, bentornati!
Since pandemic started, it was actually the first time in my life I started living totally alone. And before that, I was living always with my brother, and we were sharing this little place, little studio around that we have in the core of downtown Toronto, and it was actually really nice. We were having a really good time together here, and after that, after he got stuck in Italy, I didn't have any chance to live with anybody else. I remember during the first lockdown, I was totally alone, and I was lost in contact with all of my friends. I didn't meet anybody.
Oggi 5 maggio, spiaggia di Vesima, una località di Genova. Di solito qui è piena di famiglie già, ragazzi che vengono al mare a prendere il sole. È tutto un deserto.
Rockford Beach, New York. Queens. Dovrebbero riaprire le spiagge il 30 di marzo, il giorno della memoria.
Next, let me provide an update on the path forward for our country as we continue our war to defeat the China virus. We're beginning to see evidence of significant progress. Nationwide, the number of positive cases has declined by nearly 6%.
And now here is the gate of my community, and you'll see that guy who used thermometer to test my temperature. Not inside the restaurant, and I just decided that to buy some food, and now I'm here. I'm trying to what I should eat. Now I'm here. I actually used to work in one of these buildings, and now that is Wangying Soho, where I just had my haircut. And actually, maybe because it's Saturday, so
credo che a livello economico la nostra città risentirà molto di questo periodo di crisi. Credo che piano piano, sempre di più, la vita riprenderà. Per un danzatore c'è anche da dire che è importante l'allenamento in uno spazio che sia abbastanza grande.
In March 2020, our city got hit by an earthquake. The news was so confusing that day. The directive in the case of an earthquake is to send people out of their homes. And in the case of a pandemic, is to keep them in. The picture I saw on social media of women with their newborn babies standing half naked out in the cold in front of the hospital really stuck. That day is still kind of hazy. Stress level was high for a while, and it took quite a lot of meditations for me to be able to sleep again and not to shake every time a tram passes by. Now it's been over a year since it all started, and what I miss the most is traveling. I really like to explore new cultures, city, cuisine, amusement parks, museums, just everything. Can't wait to travel carefree again.
And we're going to show the public what's really going on and the fact that we're not having it.
I have really good news. Today, our nation has achieved a medical miracle. We have delivered a safe and effective vaccine in just 9 months. Through Operation Warp Speed, my administration provided a total of $14 billion to accelerate vaccine development and to manufacture all of the top candidates in advance. This included a nearly $2 billion investment in Pfizer to produce 100 million doses of their vaccine, with an option to produce 500 million additional doses. 24 hours. The governors decide where the vaccines will go in their state and who will get them first. We want our senior citizens, healthcare workers, and first responders to be first in line. This will quickly and dramatically reduce deaths and hospitalizations. When the China virus invaded our shores, I promised that we would produce a vaccine in record time before the end of the year. They said it couldn't be done, but with today's announcement, we have now achieved that goal. The United States is the first nation in the world to produce a verifiably safe and effective vaccine.
Will start delivering vaccines as of this month, and I'm sure that this House will agree that we need more. Because our responsibility extends far beyond Europe's border. The battle against the virus is a marathon and not a sprint. We need to anticipate and prepare immediately. And this is why we start our new HERA project now, with launching our preparedness agenda against new variants next week. We need rapid sequencing and clinical characterization of new mutations. And we need systematic sample and data sharing across networks and labs. Because to defeat the virus, we need to know as much detail about it as possible. In parallel, we will tackle a second challenge. As I said, we're dealing with completely new mRNA vaccines, never manufactured at scale before.
Vaccinations are being started, like for over 50 years old people, there are like a lot of, there is a list, so like if you are a key worker, so you work for NHS, like you're gonna get vaccination before, so stuff like that. So yeah, that's right.
El Partido Popular considera que es urgente y muy necesario poner en marcha lo que podríamos denominar el pasaporte o certificado de vacunación en el marco de la pandemia Covid-19. Esto es fundamental para favorecer y potenciar la movilidad segura de los ciudadanos tanto a nivel nacional como internacional.
Ustedes hacen el caldo gordo al separatismo cuando asimilan un certificado COVID internacional a un certificado COVID nacional.
Fue pionera en plantear la necesidad de contar con un documento de esta naturaleza a nivel de toda la Unión Europea que permitiera, uno, consultar el estado serológico de un individuo y dos, facilitar la movilidad en la Unión Europea para recuperar la libertad de movimiento que disfrutan los ciudadanos europeos.
Está totalmente desfasada y se hace una autoenmienda a sí mismo, verbalmente, diciendo que ya no es un pasaporte, que es un certificado. La iniciativa pone pasaporte. Y pasaporte no es. No es un pasaporte porque no limita la movilidad y usted debería de haberlo sabido. Es un certificado que unifica el espacio Schengen. Votos a favor. Votos en contra. ¿Y abstenciones? Una. Por tanto, votos a favor 10, votos en contra 23, abstenciones 1, queda rechazado.
Die gemeinsame Impfkampagne von Bund und Ländern seit Beginn des zweiten Quartals deutlich an Fahrt gewonnen hat. Es wurden 35 Millionen Deutsche, das sind 41,5% der Bevölkerung, mindestens einmal geimpft, wo man überlegt, dass wir ja gar nicht alle impfen können, weil für die kleineren Kinder ja keine Zulassung da ist. Dann ist das schon ein sehr guter Wert und 13 Millionen, das heißt 15,7%, sind bereits vollständig geimpft.
More than 2.5 billion people are fully vaccinated worldwide, and close to 1 billion more are partly vaccinated. However, as many others have noted in this discussion, we're still witnessing great inequalities in the availability of vaccines worldwide.
Es hat die Priorisierung der Impfung älterer und vorerkrankter Menschen ihre positive Wirkung entfaltet, denn das hat zu einer deutlichen Reduzierung der schweren Krankenverläufe geführt. Es sinkt die Zahl der Neuinfektionen und erfreulicherweise auch die Zahl der belegten Intensivbetten. Kinder und Jugendliche können dann ab dem Ende der Priorisierung, Sie wissen, dass am 7.6. im Allgemeinen die Priorisierung aufgehoben wird, sich auch einen Impftermin bemühen.
The main challenge will be how to transport vaccines, not how to make them.
See you soon.